Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome back to our discussions on this mine closure and sustainability planning, and we discussed about what is post mining mine site restoration program, and after mine closure how can we reduce the liability of the company by proper planned activities, and out of that we told about the cleaner production which emphasizes on circular economy, where wastes are converted to wealth by doing a different type of value addition. So in that we are discussing now that how to optimize the residual value of the assets, that is in the mining site, post mining site we have got many assets, their buildings, the roads, this used machines, and also a lot of scraps lying here and there. So those are the remaining assets which some of them has completed their full service life, but yet it may be having some salvage value, or sometimes we say that it has got some residual value. So what are these concepts we will be discussing today. So our main concept we are working on the asset optimization, that whatever is the left with as an asset that which the company used for its active mining days, now that assets to be optimized for its post mining uses, and for that we will have to undertake an asset valuation, and that asset valuation will reveal what is the residual value, and then we will have to think of how we can create value to it. Now this asset optimization, which is a process of finding the best use of the assets for a company, that we can do it by considering its costs, its risk, its opportunities and performances. But how at the time of closure, it is how best we can get from this asset is the basic question. That means because it has been, these assets were developed, it were used, and certain facilities were created, that facilities were also contributing to the running and benefit and the profit of the company. But after the mining main operation is closed, that means we are not earning anything from the that share for the existing facilities, and that's why in a true sense they are no more as an asset in strict sense of contributing to the profit, but these are definitely their potential asset. That means how the asset management is practiced to preserve the asset value. So that means in your mine closure planning we need to see that is exactly how we can preserve the asset value, so that at the time of closure it can serve different purposes and they do not. And there were certain our policy issues are also there. Sometimes they say that the final closure plan will be coming 2 years or 5 years before the mine closure. That is not the thing. Exactly the final mine closure plan also should be much ahead of the operation, so that the assets can be properly preserved and properly reused for this. And for that the concept of repurposing, that is how the assets, that is exactly the land, the roads, then there is your other equipment, plant, machinery, can it be repurposed, that is, and for that whether they have been preserved. These are the concepts need to be understood, and particularly the end use creation, that is after the end of the life, if there can some usefulness, some utility can be created, and this is to be looked into what now for the sustainability goal everybody is talking about just transition. Now that at these things, that what type of transition could be justified, that just transition concepts also will have to be brought into this arena of asset management, which is exactly very important, particularly at the post mining mine site restoration planning. So in this lecture we will be talking about how to evaluate the salvage value of the residual value of an asset and after the mine is closed, and also will explain so that you can explain how the post mining assets can be repurposed for just transition and community wealth building. This community wealth building is a most important thing of a sustainable mine closure, or when we tell that it's exactly post mining mine site restorations, that will have to create community wealth. Maybe in our next lecture also we will be touching upon what is this community wealth building. But today let us see what happens when a mine closes. I think say you can brainstorm amongst yourself and you can find out that what happens when a mine closes. So you can think of, that means there will be, first thing is the salaried people who are there, that who are getting their pensions and then they have got their benefits, they may be migrating from the place. Exactly, a major portion of the salaried people, they came from the foreign places to the mining area and they were migrated people and they will be migrating to their next opportunity. This will happen to most of the skilled and educated people. But that is exactly, there are in the mine site number of service provider, that is who are at a even the lower end of the business who are doing, and then who are not directly dependent on who are doing and independently depending on the mining, they find a loss of their livelihood, because they are having, suppose a shop owner, he will be losing, that is his buyers have left. So to get a new buyer, and then the type of buyers he had, he will no longer will be having over there. So that's why some of those, if they are very able and wealthy shopkeepers, they will also think of migrating from that place, and they may be doing at a later stage than the salaried people. But then there are certain people who might have gave their land to this company, who were doing they were the original local community. Then there some of their children and all might have, because of this mining, they got educated, they have settled elsewhere. So a major portion of them, those who were given this, if it is a long term of the mining has done and they were the landowners of that, a major portion of them might have already got settled into a different places away from the mines. But all the land givers, their children and all are not equally that's lucky to get opportunity outside. Quite a good portion of those people, they will be having their, they may be using some of those residual assets that will be, they are having, maybe they are having a quarter given by the company, they are using some of the facilities, but they do not have a sure livelihood. So that will happen to them. So now that remaining assets, that whatever is there, whether this will be supporting the local community and those people who could not live from there, and then they, many of them, they do not have that adequate knowledge, skill, or that know-how to survive a new place. Some of them may be aged. So in the mine site, you may be having, like the old assets, you may be having quite a good number of old senior citizens who cannot migrate to another place. So how the remaining assets can be given a new opportunity for economic activity so that these people can survive, how a new economy can be created over there. So, for that asset valuation is necessary. Now, in the asset valuations, what you do, you determine the fair market or present value of the assets, and using the book value, absolute valuation models like discounted cash flow analysis, option pricing models, comparables. These are the, you might be reading those things in your mineral economics paper, and if you have not already read, then you will have to start reading about that. But these asset valuations, it will determine the value of a specific property, including the stocks, option, bonds, buildings, machinery or land, and whatever it is there, and the company's asset, and which the company will be selling, or it will be claiming its insurance, it will be closing over there, or they will be giving it, say they are any merging, or somebody acquire their property, an acquisition takes place. At that time, this valuations will be done. Now, for doing that, there are the accountants, then this your costing people, finance people, they have got a different thing. But as a mine closure planner, you need to see about those part when you will be thinking about the company's business. But when you think about the societal aspect of it, you will be looking into a different type of investigations. That is, how the land, how the property, how the topography, in which way it can be converted to an asset. Particularly, whether there is how you can create new business over there. The company, if they want, they would be coming forward to this, but if the company is just surrendering it, and then when a new company, you can think of whether there could be the local community become a stakeholders to take a part of that business to themselves for creating certain different aspects of business there. Now, for this, what will be necessary for the sustainability planning, and then for this your making a circular economy, you will have to add new value to the assets. That means you will have to create now new post mining land use, and for that you will have to remaking of the damaged land, that whatever has been damaged topography you are having, and then the whole area, there may be lot of overburden dumps, that may be lot of that is your water body with lot of suspended solids, then there could be a contaminated site. All these things now is a challenge to build this exactly how a community wealth can be created out of it. And for that, your this turned, that is your the closed mines will have to be turned into a new asset, and for that certain things will have to done. That is exactly your geotechnical aspects of it. You will have to all the slopes, whether the pit or for the that your overburden dump, their stability and geotechnical competence, that will have to be assessed. Last class I showed you about how the Chinese have converted a mine, pit mine, into an international luxury hotel. But for that, the first things what they have done, that means those almost near vertical wall of that pit, which are very stable because of the rock strata over there. So that's why the geologically and geotechnical study will be necessary to ascertain whether that whatever is left is safe for a longer term. That is safety, that in future also you will have to consider that after 50 years, after 40 years, that there should not be any problem. And there is one thing, whenever it is most of our Indian mines, you will find it is an open pit mines. Now those open pit mine will be that is as the mine closure directives, you will have to backfill. Even if you backfill, some of the mines you cannot get that enough material to fill it, retain or restore the original surface, and that is particularly true when you are thinking of a limestone mine or say granite mine, because there is no overburden which are not kept elsewhere, or there is nothing that to fill that void. So there will be a big pit lying, and that pit can be converted to a pit lake. So that's why in many of the limestone mines, granite mine, sometimes even this manganese mine, there will be having a huge water bodies can be created over the closed mine area. Now that is a pit lake. Now this pit lake, depending on the geotechnical conditions, geomining conditions, geology, and also the climatic and the weather conditions of it, that could be you can find out there could be certain locations where there a very good healthy pit lake can be created. Now that pit lake, if you find, this could be establishing a new end use. When we talk about this end use, after the life of the mine is over, their main original basic purpose is over, now that site, that facility, or the things which are left over, it can be used for different type of end uses. So if you are getting a pit lake, it can be used for that aquatic life. Wildlife can be developed over there. Your fishery for the food supply, you can do it. As a recreation park and all, people can develop it for the other things. It could be exactly a fishery can be also a recreation park. Similarly, you can source of water that will be preserving. You can take tests, and then from there your potable water can be derived. And also that exactly is how that waste storage which were there, that can be treated, and then that could remain no risk to the health and safety. So these are the things how a pit lake can be put into end use. So these end use values, these are exactly to be assessed whenever you get a that closure, that is when you are talking about that how you will find out the residual value of the assets. That means the value, it is when it could be a potential value, because it is just that as such it may not be having, nobody may like to, because that value creation may be requiring certain investment. So that when you are doing this end use value creation, how much exactly you will have to be invested, and then how much return on that investment will be coming will have to be known. So now when we talk about this end use of these pit lakes, it can, as we have said, that there are three areas, that is your wildlife, then your recreations and primary productions. There you can have, that is your how the aquatic ecosystems can be developed, and then many amphibious and then fauna and flora, they can be developed over here. Then this the wildlife, terrestrial wildlife can find out that could be a good water hole, that drinking water, and then nearby forest can be also created over there. Then number of different type of birds of that region, they will be finding a place to be there, and also that will be encouraging lot of migratory birds to come over there. And maybe after some time with the aquatic flora developed over there, and then this could be a total different type of social assets which could be serving the society with not only the aesthetic but also a livelihood. At the same time, it will be giving a good recreations, maybe with the swimming, your boating, diving, hunting, even this it will give a lot of recreations. It can be, and then depending on that area locality, they can make a lot of educational that extension. Near that you can have a local museum, near that you can give a local cultural, if there are tribal communities around, then you can bring up their traditional food habits, their traditional knowledge for medicine, and then traditional art for then how they create this local art, that the organic paints from different leaves and stones, how they make it. So if a museum is also put by the side of it, it can make a different type of social vibrations can be brought into that area. So the pit lake, where there will be water, and then where there will be people coming, because with the water you can create horticultural garden, you can create a multi-purpose thing. So that when we are thinking of that asset, at the beginning there will be only a pit which has got nothing, but we have thought of having it a pit lake, but that lake will be the center point of different other type of economic engagements. So that maybe after sometimes when this whole site, if it is taken up, that whole pit lake can be developed as a community model, as a cooperative model, as a societal, or we can think of what is called as a our great Pandurang Shastri Athawale of the Swadhyay group, which he told and propagated as a non-personal wealth, which he demonstrated in the 60s and 70s in the western coast of Gujarat. He created a fisherman community to have a community wealth by which he transformed the society. So similar type of things can happen if this pit lake is taken as a center point of a community of wealth generations by multi-purpose business amalgamation. And this type of model will have to be planned, and there your knowledge of mineral economics, knowledge of your geology, knowledge of your mining assets and the post mining this possibility will help you create new startup, new social interactions can be taken up. And in that you can get irrigated crops, you can get agriculture, livestock, you can have, even if there is a, you can think of, that is your pit lake is there, now that near the slope you can create the slopes as a grassland, you can create on the slope you put vetiver, by vetiver it will be making the pit slope is looking now green, and in between the vetiver hedges you give the other nutritious grass and put that thing, bring some type of your sheep and then goat and let them be there free, that is they will be freely living over there, and then they will be transforming that. Is a goat farm can be developing over here, give a protections, they will multiply, and maybe you can do a different type of things. So this is possible, as you can see here that how it has done. In the bighorn sheep, that is a one type of sheep that they are growing in the near a pit, because they can do over there. This is an open pit gold mine in Montana, where there this bighorn sheep have been developed, because they live on that mountainous, and that type of climate is suitable for it. They have created grasslands near to the slope, pit slope, and that pit has become a good place for there to grow, and then a different type of resource is getting generated. Similarly, I can show you here of that Navans, that in Republic of Ireland. This is a very old figure, and that I visited this particular place of Outcompo zinc mine in Republic of Ireland at the Tara mines. That is where this, what you are seeing as a green land, this was the old tailing dams of that Outcompo zinc mines at Navan, near Navan, the Tara mines in Republic of Ireland. Now that tailing dam can be used for the ships. I remember in those in 93, 94, these each and every ships were tested for their the property of their if any toxic things are going to their flesh, this was tested, and then they found it that there is no toxicity over there, and this can be now used as a ship farm. So this type of transition, that is from a mine tailing dams to a social value, this is very interesting thing. So that means when we talk of the residual value of an asset, that in one way that is the land, the tailing dam, then your slopes, their pits, and also there are certain your assets like your plant and machinery, for they have got some their resale value. You will have to find out that what is the residual value is there. Now there could be certain things, that is you are having in an asset management, you tell about that tangible assets and intangible assets. Wherever it is a tangible assets, that is the physical assets, some of them can be disposed, they will be having a resale value. If there is it cannot be used at all, it's a very old and all that thing, even it will be sold as a scrap. So it is also certain residual value remains. Now that residual value is also called as a salvage value. It is estimated from the as a fixed asset at the end of its whole life is over, what is there. Now this residual value is calculated from the estimated salvage value and the cost of asset disposal. Suppose you are having a property in which your estimated salvage value means after depreciations and all that thing it is coming one, but to take that thing to sell it, you will have to get someone to take that property and all that thing, whatever you will be spending on that, that is the cost of asset disposal. So taking these two account, you can find out the residual value, and that salvage value, it is calculated from the that your initial price and then how the depreciation has taken place, and then in how many years that is there. So as an example, if you take of a rupees 20 lakh for a particular asset and it is used for 8 years, now let us take that 5 lakh as an estimated salvage value of the equipment when it is disposed as a scrap. So now that cost, as they say, the cost of the company is a 25,000 for taking the equipment from there to the place and where the somebody will be taking it over there. So you just subtract that one from the residual value and you will get what exactly the residual value is coming as a 4,75,000. So these are the simple calculations you can do, and then sometimes intangible value like your certain softwares and all, you can after some time they may have got only a zero value, that will not be there. So then you will have to such type of material, such type of properties, your intangible properties also, they will be calculating how that amortization will be taking, and then amortized value is also calculated by the same principle. So the tangible assets like your cars, computers, machinery, business owner would be the same calculations, only instead of amortizing the assets of the useful life, it will be depreciating, depreciated value will be calculated. So the initial value minus the residual value, that is your depreciated value. So this value depending on, say for example, a dozer. The dozer, that company when it is used, say that it has done for 8 years, then after that every year it has depreciated. So after depreciations maybe certain value is a depreciated value it will be living. But depending on the site, that is in, if you are having in a very remote area, remote village and all that thing, there nobody comes to buy that one, so your maybe that depreciated your salvage value, residual value may be zero. So there exactly that sometimes those could be sold as a scrap, and then along with other things you will have to make a altogether different type of estimations. So that your economics part you will have to look into it. And why we need this residual value, because that will be determining what will be the lease rate. If someone is there, you are having in a near a semi town is there, some contractors are doing the road making and all that thing, some of your equipment can be given on lease to them. In that case your this determination of the salvage value or depreciated residual value will be very important. And then whether you will be calculating your amortization and depreciation, for that also your residual value calculation is necessary. So this when we calculate this value, it will be giving you an opportunity to plan, that is whether your what is your financial strength to, or what type of money you can get from it, and whether that you will be using for your negotiating with another stakeholder, you want to get rid of it, or sometimes you can think of engaging the community to take it to do some repurposing, that is your how the post useful life if you can create over there. So for that you will have to do this asset optimization. So that asset optimization, it could be done by site redevelopment, asset repositioning and reversion, that is whether you can bring a new life to the discarded land, that is you are redeveloping the land, your asset repositioning, reinventing assets within internal applications for create sustainable value, that is where the machines which are using for a purpose of say excavation, whether that now is just can be used for your some of the site maintenance. So like that you can reposition them for doing some different work, and then you are exactly revert it from the original use to a new use, and for that the post mining site will have to be managed, but that means you will have to ensure its safety, and for that you will have to use technology. So that means whenever the residual value can be increased, when you increase its safety, when you say if you are having a tailing dam nearby and then the neighboring site you want to develop, then everybody will be looking into whether that tailing dam it is safe or not. If there is a failure of the tailing dam, any business or any village or any cropland you create near it, it will not be leading to any, there will not be a takers to do it, because nobody would like to take that risk. So now to reduce that risk so that the other land can be attractive to the next stakeholders, so you will have to engage and invest certain things on the tailing dam. So this tailing dam monitoring is a very, very important thing in the post mining site, and for that new technology, from drone technology to your different type of instruments to measure the conditions over there, and then you will have to have a technological arrangements so that your every time you are monitoring and then the risk is quantified and demonstrated. So that is exactly as a part of the reclamations, and that is your environmental security and then safety. That is a technological part in which this monitoring and then redesigning and designing, taking preventive maintenance, all parts will have to be done. Now once that is done near to the tailing dam, your area can be now developed for a different purposes. So for example, a coal mine coal mine pit has been now converted to a lavender farm. That means now that in a mined out area they are producing these flowers from which essence, then their fragrance and all these things can be it can be raw materials for the fragrance company, and there will be some economic activity. At the same time, the aesthetic of the site is also restored. Then India has got a lot of applications. Your naval lignite corporations, then your the Goa, in Sesa Goa, then this another is the Oroso Dongoro mine of Goa, which is exactly in 1974 itself it was closed. That is after the mineral got exhausted over there, the peat and nearby overburden dumps, they have brought a big good cashew nut, and where they produce Fanny, the local liquor. At the same time, the cashew nuts, they are of very good quality, which is over there. In the Naval Lignite Corporation, they are in the mining, near to the mine, you can see here in the second mines they are overburden dump over there, and this is the mined out area in where again the cultivations and agricultural, the crop generations has started, and you can see now how green they have made the mine pit. So this is the way how exactly when we talk about the mine closure planning and then sustainability planning, when it merged into, you can get this type of, that is your repurposing and this type of redevelopment. Now you need to keep it in your mind that the whatever is left to it, as I told you earlier, we'll have to properly investigate, we'll have to take an economic evaluations, you will have to do the scientific characterizations I talked to you about in the last class. So after that, you try to find out there what alternative could be done, and here comes your creative ideas and new thinking, your innovative applications and that entrepreneurship. You will have to exactly invest and do a business over it and try to see how the value is generated for giving it. So this optimization residual asset values will lead to sustainable transformation and just transition. When you do this type of activities, a just transition will take place, and which is nothing but it is an integrated approach to sustainable development that brings together social progress, environmental protection and economic success into a framework of democratic governance and institutional resilience. As a post-mine closure custodian, if you become to do a business over there, then how you will be taking up, that is your resilience should be there after the mining. If your mine closure has taken place due to sudden economic and market failure, then also you are having such type of plan that you will be converting your mine land. That means you are having a resilience to come back to retain an economy. It may not be the same economy, the same type of gains and profits, but the welfare creations will remain. Effective just transition strategies require a local bottom-up engagement of all affected stakeholders and commitment by the government. Of course, here this our rules, regulations, and then that should be there. Earlier there is a regulations that exactly the mining company, when they have given a lease, that means in your overburden you cannot produce anything for selling. That type of that exactly the rules, regulations need to be changed, so that if you can create an alternative economy and sustainable development plan, why not? So those regulations which were forbidding the company to do other business in the leased out area should be reconsidered and relooked, so that a sustainable mine closure can be effected. So a long term social inclusion and resilience. That social inclusion means your all the community, because at the end of the mine closure only the very weaker sections of the community will be remaining over there. So we'll have to include them so that we can create business for them and create a good quality of life, and then a good sustainable that your lifestyle and quality of life can be retained over there. And for that, to repurpose the post mining site and value creation to the depreciated assets will hasten the what is called as a just transition, which a movement that is your as a global initiatives are there, and to this will have to do it. So for example, now when you do the asset management in a right perspective to get it residual value and transform it for towards the just transition, that will be the new approach for mine closure planning. And the post mining infrastructure needs careful investigation and evaluating for asset value assessment and value creation potential and repurposing. Based on the quality of the post mining site restoration, the residual values may lead to community wealth building. The residual assets could be developed as a source of new economy after mining ends to serve the society, and social conditions and environmental sustainability can be maintained through proper planning of this residual value optimization. So in a nutshell, what I have asked you to do a exercise on thinking of what type of this value additions can be done to the assets which will be left with. The assets are not only those plants and machinery, but whatever the land, your this whatever the topography, whatever the that your skilled unskilled manpower left, all are the assets, and we will have to make use of them. So please go through, try to find out what is the present state of the art in residual asset utilization, and from that you will have to make a survey of what are the exactly you can find out the list of the mines which are going to be closed by 2030, so that now if you can start planning, so by 2035 you can become a very rich man by converting some of the post mining site into a value added very vibrant economy, and a lot of activities can be done over there. Thank you very much.